News with me, Kamini Nyamani Amano. Coming up, President Mahama orders military to outline strategy in readiness to fight terrorists who might target Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah Circle and Atani Lagoon floods again, and this time construction of new overpass and choked drains blamed for the floods. Also, a 2012 NPP flag bearer Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo distances himself from calls for him to run unopposed as the NPP's 2016 presidential candidate. Now, here are the detail. President John Mahama has tasked the Ghana Armed Forces to immediately strategize and work towards countering any possible terrorist attack in the country, saying that activities of Boko Haram and other terrorist groups in the sub-region are rife and threaten global peace. The president was addressing the rank and file of the Ghana Armed Forces at the Burma camp on Tuesday.
Briefing them on the state of the economy and steps government is taking to address the current financial and energy challenges.
In today's debate, we've selected 3 critical areas in which 2 of our ministers and 1 presidential staff would take you through and walk you through the challenges we face and what policies government is rolling out to deal with those challenges. We're going to have an exposition on the economy, which is one of the major issues we're dealing with. And then after that, we'll have an exposition on energy and power because of its critical nature towards critical contribution towards Ghana's economic growth. And then afterwards, you would have a session that deals with the medium-term framework. That is the national vision that we are supposed to present to Parliament at the end of this year.
Whilst praising them for their efforts in maintaining peace and security, President Mahama also charged the soldiers to avert all possible attacks.
In the world today, global threats are changing. And as they change, we also must adapt our strategy to ensure that we continue to keep our nation safe. Currently, in the West African sub-region, the rise of Boko Haram in Nigeria is a phenomenon that we need to keep an eye on. Terrorism is not a new phenomenon in the world, but the new dimensions that it is taking are threatening global peace. And it requires sophistication, it requires training to be able to deal with it. And so we're asking the High Command to outline a strategy for training and preparation in the event that we are confronted with any such threat. And so the High Command would have to look at your policies and strategies and adapt them to meet the new global threat.
The Atani Lagoon and parts of the Kwame Nkrumah Circle here in Accra got flooded after a heavy downpour which lasted about 2 hours. Residents blamed the flooding on drains they say had been choked with garbage. Others also blamed it on the ongoing construction of the interchange.
Every year, the issue of drains being choked by garbage and the resultant floods surfaces once the rains set in. With the ongoing construction of interchange, however, residents say they fear the worst.
Because of the road they are doing, it affects us a lot. Because normally when it's rain, let me say the water stay at one place, it doesn't move because there's no gutter over here, and they have to do a lot of gutters here for us to make sure the water move freely.
The Odo River was full and almost to the brim, a major source of worry for people who live and trade in the area. Some residents appealed to the Accra-Politan Assembly to assist the drains to allow the free flow of rainwater whenever it rains.
Bola no etre se make so muma ye nipa se omuma ye nipa ba be fa bola se bola ye ni bola de sia bola buaka obia pra baby opebia no de ato eti bola ne de abunka fedwai edwane mu kura nya kono edwane mu otai eti ya pawo mo chew se Ghana mpanimfo ene emefo mo moye ne ye bre.
Sarah Bampa for joining you.
Now, nurses at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital have threatened to embark on strike by the end of this week over shortage of medicines at the hospital. The nurses held a protest march Tuesday at the hospital saying that they were exposed to the dangers associated with treating very aggressive mentally deranged patients without the requisite medicines, displaying placards with inscriptions, no medicine, no work, no money, no work, among others. The nurses said several promises by government to provide medicines to the hospital had gone unfulfilled. District chairperson of the Ghana Registered Nurses Association, Samuel Kujo, is reported as saying without medicines to calm down aggressive patients, the nurses would not put their lives at risk. Well, as part of efforts to entrench Ghana's democratic process, the National Commission for Civic Education has begun its week-long public education program with a focus on individual acts of discipline that affects the nation. This year's program is targeting pupils who will be sensitized to understand civic life and encouraged to accept values and virtues of good citizenship.
According to the Director of Communications and Corporate Affairs at the NCCE, the Commission sets apart a week each year, especially for the various groups in the country, to sensitize them on issues of national importance. The public education program, she says, is to remind Ghanaians, especially young people, of their responsibilities as citizens and the role they can play in building a strong, vibrant and democratic Ghana.
As the youth of this nation, we have all been saying that they are the future leaders on whose shoulders the governance of this country rests when we are no longer available. So we need to conscientize them, educate them on the principles of good citizenship. They need to imbibe the virtues of a good citizen so that they grow up with it and we can have responsible adults as they are growing up. As we are educating them on virtues of good citizens, we are emphasizing on the need for them to be disciplined pupils.
The week-long activity is expected to reach about 1,200,000 children in 4,500 schools.
We are concentrating on a basic school because Citizenship Week in itself is part of Constitution Week activities. And previously, the Constitution Week is adult-centered. We interact with the adult population. So in 2012, we thought it wise to bring the youth, especially the basic schools, on board our Constitution Week activities. So in 2012, that was when we started the Citizenship Week. And we explained it to their understanding. We calmed down very low. We are expecting that, by and large, the youth, and specifically pupils of basic schools, will abide by the tenets of our Constitution. We hope that they will be law-abiding and they will contribute their quota to working to enhance our democracy.
All 216 officers of the NCCE across the nation are coordinating the program, which runs on the theme Indiscipline and how it weakens the pillars of our democracy. Matilda Vamagan for Joy News.
The Christian Council of Ghana is asking the government to work with urgency in addressing the country's current economic challenges. General Secretary of the Council, Reverend Dr. Puni Yeboah, says while the Christian community would support the nation with prayers, that alone is not enough to change the situation. He was speaking with Joy News on the sidelines of the launch of this year's National Fasting and Prayer Week, which the Council hopes would help reduce Ghana's current economic woes. The youth wing of the National Patriotic Party with the Greater Accra region has issued an ultimatum to party executives to cancel the upcoming presidential primaries and acclaim Nana Akufo-Addo as flag bearer for 2016 or forget about the general elections in that year. The group is at the same time urging former President Kufuor to intervene in the matter.
Registering their opposition to the upcoming presidential primaries of the NPP in Accra, the group said there are too many contestants vying for the slot, and that has contributed to the acrimony and internal wrangling in the party.
This is definitely not the time to prepare for another internal elections. We don't have that luxury. It's also not in doubt that the holding of many elections on the heel of the Supreme Court petition has led to some election exhaustion. We can better unite this party with our limited resources if we back one person. Enough of the internal contest. Enough of the personality wrangling. It is time for unity for Victory 2016.
The group wants Nana Addo to be acclaimed as the flag bearer of the party, just as was done for former President Kufuor in the 2000 election. They are asking the former president to make a clarion call to the executive to rescind their decision to hold the primaries, while urging all aspirants to pull out of the race and channel the limited resources to support Nana Addo in the 2016 elections.
Excellency President John Ejekun Kufuor, in 2004, he became the biggest beneficiary of acclaiming a candidate and setting aside competitive elections. We appeal to him to use his weight and influence in the party to call the others aspirants to order and let common sense prevail.
The group said it will resist any attempt to hold the primaries by any means to ensure it fails by resorting to a no Nana no vote in 2016.
Meanwhile, the 2012 flag bearer for the New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has distanced himself from the Greater Accra youth wing of the party, calling for him to run unopposed as the NPP's 2016 presidential candidate. Speaking to Top Story, his spokesperson Mustafa Hamid stated it is not going to happen in this NPP. Well, the Human Rights Division of the Accra High Court is adjourned to June 2, 2014, the case in which DSP Gifty Mawinyaga Tehoda is suing the Ghana Police Service for the wrongful termination of her appointment. Joy FM's Evans Mensah was in court on Tuesday with copies of an interview with COP Rosbio Atenga, which lawyers of Gifty Tehoda are presenting as evidence, but the court could not hear the evidence as a CD player was not available. Speaking to newsmen after the proceedings, lawyer for DSP Tehoda, lawyer Voduagu, indicated in the interview with Evans Mensah that the interview Evans Mensah had with COP Rosbio Atenga was once played in court as evidence. However, when it came to a stage where they had to leave a copy with the court, copies were not enough. He said the court has ordered them to make available a CD player during the next court sitting. The Human Rights Division of the Accra High Court on Tuesday granted bail to Nana Siama Hansen, also known as Bulldog. Bulldog, who has been accused for conspiracy in the murder of Fennec Autry, the manager of the musician Cole Kese, was arraigned in court on Monday, May 19, but the court remanded him to reappear on June 2. This followed an argument from the prosecution that they needed more time to conduct further investigations into the case. Black Stars midfielder Sule Muntari joined his teammates to complete Coach Kwesi Appiah's squad ahead of their first friendly game with the Netherlands on Saturday. Ghana's ambassador to Holland, Dr. Atani Delali, paid them a visiting camp.
The AC Milan star joined his international teammates on Tuesday morning and trained with the side for the first time in their base in Holland. Muntari's arrival was preceded by that of Kevin Prince Boateng and Michael Essien, who were permitted to miss the early preparations last week in Accra. Kwesi Appiah would now be working with his full squad for the first time since commencing his preparations last week. The Black Stars will remain at their camping base in Arnhem for the next few days before moving to Rotterdam, where they are built to face the Netherlands in an international friendly on May 31. The team will then move camp to USA on June 1 with a revised number of 23 players after Coach Kwesi Appiah has made his final cut for June's finals in Brazil. Meanwhile, Ghana's ambassador to the Netherlands, Dr. Atani Delali, visited the Black Stars camp to inspire the players in their preparation towards the 2014 World Cup. Dr. Tony Edu, who has been in Holland for a month since his appointment, witnessed the team's training session, after which he interacted with coaches and players.
Accra Hearts of Oak will be without impressive midfielder Winful Kobina for Sunday's Super Clash against league champions Asante Kotoko due to suspension after he picked a 50 yellow card in the last match day against Inter-Allies.
Accra Hearts of Oak will go into this weekend's crucial clash against Asante Kotoko without influential attacker Winful Kobina due to suspension. The 19-year-old was booking Hearts' 1-0 win over Inter-Allies on Wednesday, making him ineligible to face the Porcupine Warriors at the Baba Stadium after picking up a 5th yellow card in succession. Hearts coach Mohamed Polo must quickly find a replacement for the influential attacker, who is regarded one of the Phobians' best player of the season. Kobina has notched 6 goals this term for Hearts and scored in last season's Super Clash at the Accra Sports Stadium. However, Kotoko will have new problems on their hands with the availability of winger Olenu Ashite, who impressed in the Black Stars farewell match last Friday.
Ghana's medal haul at the ongoing African Youth Games in Botswana still stands at 6 after day 5 action following key failures in tennis and cycling, but hopes of improving the medal haul are very much alive, with athletics taking center stage in Gaborone.
Weightlifters Christian Amoah and Juliana Ako hauled 3 silver medals each in the African Youth Games in Botswana. The feat will see Amoah and Ako qualify for the World Youth Championship in China in August this year. The two were rewarded with 2 more medals each after an anomaly was detected by the African Weightlifting Federation after they were awarded with just a medal. This ratification was made through the Ghana Weightlifting Association President Ben Nunumensa, who was constantly monitoring events in Botswana. The athletes were apparently not given the standard 3 medals, each for placing second in the snatch, clean and jerk categories during the medal ceremonies due to a shortage of medals. According to the head of the weightlifting team, Albert Abuchi, after competing in both the snatch and clean and jerk competitions, the athletes should have been given 3 medals based on their final placements in the 3 different event categories. Team Ghana has been notified of a decision by the African Weightlifting Federation to present the 4 medals to the athletes later today. Team Ghana's total medal haul is now 6 after day 5 of the Games.